So we all get Robbie Shapiro as an incel, right? Because I don't think we acknowledge how awful Robbie actually was. Literally in the episode Who Did It to Trina, this man basically tried to kill a girl because she got offended by a joke about her boobs. And yes, I said Robbie, not Rex, because Rex is a freaking puppet. Robbie is the one who cut the wire and then tried to cover it up. Like, this isn't the funny little mystery episode we all remember it being. It's an entire episode about Robbie feeling rejected by a woman, hurting her for it, and then still finding a way to make himself the victim. You can't tell me that's not peak incel behavior. So the episode starts with Tori directing a play for school and being forced to give Trina the lead because she's holding her Cuddle Me Kathy doll hostage. So Trina is being super annoying, right? Like, she's taking phone calls to schedule weird-ass foot bleachings, and she clearly doesn't care that Tori is trying to get a good grade. But I need everybody to understand that Trina being annoying doesn't mean she deserves to get dropped from the ceiling. And side note, I hate that the show always does that with her in specific. Like, they make her so irritating that anything that happens to her is automatically treated as deserved. So anyways, Lane reveals that the gimbal connecting Trina's harness to the wires had been cut, meaning somebody backstage tampered with the equipment knowing that Trina was about to be suspended in the air. And this is where I need us to be serious for a second. I don't care what Robbie's intentions were, like, I don't care if he wanted to scare her or whatever. Once you cut the equipment holding somebody in the air, you no longer control where they land, what they hit, or what falls on top of them. Like, okay, set pieces aren't usually super heavy, but who cares, she could have landed on her neck. Lane gathers the core group in his office, and the entire investigation is a big freaking joke. Instead of actually investigating anything, he lets everybody act out their own heavily biased version of what happened. So here comes Robbie yapping about how Cat was the one to cut the gimbal. And this is where the episode stops being funny, because remember, Robbie already knows who cut the gimbal, and instead of keeping his big fat mouth shut, he invents a story to blame the most naive character in the show of a serious crime. And also remember, Robbie has a crush on Cat, and this is how he treats her. Because according to Robbie, Cat and Trina were fighting over which one of them got to have Robbie. Because apparently this man thinks he's living in some type of harem, and he's just standing in the middle, loving the attention, talking about how there's one of him, two of them, and 7 swinging days in the week. First of all, nobody has ever wanted Robbie Shapiro this badly. Second of all, even while he's trying to frame one of his closest friends for attempted murder, he still has to make himself look desirable in the story. And this is actually important to why I'm calling him an incel, because an incel isn't just a guy who doesn't get girls. The part that makes someone an incel is the resentment and hostility that comes from not getting the romantic or sexual attention they feel like they deserve. It's acting like women have all this unfair power over you because they get to choose who they want, and then becoming angry at them for not choosing you. And I'm sorry, but that describes Robbie perfectly. Robbie has almost no romantic success throughout the show. Girls constantly treat him like he's weird, and instead of ever questioning why they react to him that way, he creates Rex. Rex is everything Robbie wishes he could be. Rex is confident, aggressive, constantly sexual, and says whatever he wants to women without getting embarrassed. Robbie gets to stand beside him acting all shy and uncomfortable, even though he's literally the person making Rex say it. And I know the show likes to play this game where Rex might secretly be alive, but that's not true. He's a puppet. He's physically attached to Robbie's hand and has to be carried everywhere, and Season 4 proves that because we see him with Rex less and less. So every time Rex makes some weird comment, that thought is still coming out of Robbie's brain. He gets to be the pathetic, harmless, nice guy everybody feels sorry for. But he also gets to be this loud, hyper-confident creep who talks about women in a gross way. And because Rex also insults Robbie, it makes the whole thing look more believable. Robbie can pretend Rex is this completely separate person who bullies him too. So how could Robbie possibly be responsible for anything Rex says? But this episode is where that excuse completely falls apart, because Rex didn't just say something creepy. He did something that required Robbie to physically participate. The puppet can't walk backstage by himself and cut through a metal gimbal. Robbie had to take him back there and use his own hands to cut it. So I don't care if Robbie's fucked up brain was arguing with Rex while doing it. He still did it. Even in the episode Rex dies, they bring Rex to a hospital and pretend he's dying because they're worried about Robbie's unhealthy attachment to him. Beck literally says he's a puppet. And Tori had to agree to a date with the doctor's son, so he would play along. Like, nobody in universe actually believes Rex has organs or a pulse. They treat him like a person because Robbie treats him like a person, and it's easier to go along with it than deal with whatever is going on psychologically with Robbie. And when we finally find out why he did it, it's the most incel motivation possible. Before the play, Rex asks Trina if she wants to know his 2 favorite things about her, which is very clearly a joke about her boobs. Trina gets offended and hits Rex in the face, and like, of course she got offended. What did he expect her to do? I think because the show tries to portray Trina as such an undesirable character, that it's actually gotten to the point where the writers are now implying that she should be grateful for this type of attention. Because if it's not implying that, then why did Robbie go completely unpunished by the end of the episode? Also, can we all just think about the fact she hit a puppet? I'm not even going to sit here acting like Trina brutally assaulted a student. The girl literally smacked a piece of wood. But Robbie sees this as some massive injustice that needs revenge. That's the entire incel mindset in one scene. Robbie believes he has the right to make sexual comments about Trina's, but Trina apparently doesn't have the right to reject it or get angry. The second she refuses to play along, Robbie becomes the victim. Which is also why I don't care when people say he probably didn't intend to kill her. Okay, so what did he think was gonna happen? He knew she was hanging above the stage, and he knew the gimbal was the thing connecting her to the wires. So if he didn't expect her to fall, why the hell did he cut it? Maybe he didn't specifically sit there thinking, I want Trina to die. But he absolutely wanted her to get hurt. And he was willing to risk her dying to make that happen. But then after he does it, suddenly Robbie is back to being the scared little victim. At the end of the episode, he tells Rex that he shouldn't have put him in a situation like that again. Not, you could have killed Trina. And he's not even thinking about how he almost got Cat in trouble with his bullshit story. This is another big part of the incel thing with him. Robbie constantly sees himself as the victim because he's unpopular and girls don't want him. So even when he's the person doing something fucked up, the story in his head is still about how hard the situation is for him. And I think that's what makes Robbie so much creepier than people remember. He hides all of this behind being awkward. And because Robbie looks nervous and gets rejected a lot, the show expects us to view him as harmless. Like, how could the little nerdy virgin possibly be dangerous? But honestly, this isn't even the worst for Robbie. It's just the most obvious. The next video is going to be a deeper breakdown of Robbie's incel behaviors and ideologies. So make sure to subscribe to Nostalgia Girl for more victorious breakdowns.